Welcome back to the channel. Today is day 2 or 3 of the series of 0 to Wiki into HTMX and Golang, right? We will continue on our learning journey on how we can replicate a Wiki engine. So the agenda for today is just to do a quick recap of what we did past time in Golang. Now we will move on to how to use templates. Golang, I will detail a little bit about that. We will learn about the routing. Then we will learn a better way to do routing. And then we will try to use HTMX to make things a little bit faster. Then we will just set up a little wrap-up. So if you come from the past video, the video 1, you basically get into the fact without anything else. If you come from the video that I set up for the neovim config, I know that you will use neovim, and we will move forward using neovim for doing the rest of the thing. But don't be scared. I will let the link down below if you want to set up things in neovim and continue doing that. And if you don't know Vim, I will let again in the description my plugin for neovim and how to install it and the series of neovim. Otherwise, if you prefer to use your own editor or a basic text editor, you can follow along without any further issues. So basically, we will go to the other terminal, and as you see, just because I am almost blind, I cannot see my screen in very dark colors, but for a longer time. That's why I will code mostly in white. So, the idea is that we have here server that the past time we learn how to put it to work, and we just learn how to write HTML on it and just how to serve it, right? So next thing, we will have to, well, the web doesn't work like this every time. You aren't going on the browser every time just to go and do a reset of what you did the past time, right? Like, you don't have to write all the pages in HTML and code them inside the code that you're serving. So we usually use another kind of file called static files, and just to serve external, to have our CSS, our other HTML files, and other things that we can set up very nicely. So the idea today is just to move this HTML that we have here to what goes called a template. Basically, a template is a piece of HTML, very much like in PHP or another language, where you can overwrite part of the content and send it back to the client. So if you remember from the diagram, our idea is to have HTMX to sit on the client side, just to wait for the response of the server and render whatever it has to render. But right now, you have just HTML. So the client requests a page, and our response from the customer is another HTML, basically. So we want maybe to speed things up with HTMX. But before being even able to do that, we have to be able to have things in a more organized way, and we want to achieve that also with the templates. So what we will do is just to split a little things up. So we will create a const keyword just for temporarily store the template in a variable. So we will just move this HTML that I have in the lines. I usually forget to do that. We will have from the lines 9 to 15 into its own variable, just to start. Let's do that. Give me a second. I will name this variable home template. Let's name it like that. We will use backticks just to say that I have this template here. So what we do, I will do just basically we'll do a 11.15 jump, and I will do just a little paste here. Let me do it again because in that I did something wrong. 11.17 jump, and I will paste it. Yes, yeah, that seems right. Okay, so now what we have to do is just to write what we have before, but in the handle function. So instead of converting this doing a silly conversion of the variable home template onto an array of bytes, what we will do is just to transform it into a template. So I will just 16, 20, 24 delete. 16, 24 delete. I think that kept the right parentheses, yes. Okay. So now I have to write what I just call a template. So the template will be called the template, and I think that I have to import the template package. I will do it later. So we will have template. That is a module that, of course, our LSP will automatically set up in line 4 for us. And I will, I think that is that is a function that allows me to say that I have a new template. That basically is for what I call the home template. And I will parse, a file system, I will just parse what I have in the home template. Basically, what this does is just transform our HTML in a template that we could parse. We could just show in the function, in the server. And now I will just go to the template and I will execute it. Just execute it. And we will use the writer, so the response, it will be in the response, and I will don't add any further variable. Now we'll write the server again, and we will open a new vim. I will just enhance this a little bit. So let's do cd ld documents tutorials go wiki, and let's do a little bit of go run, and it was inside cmd and we was inside server. So as I just suspend SMP we have here, and I want just also to show some. If I go to page 2 and you see the network stuff, you can see if I click, it will trigger a full reload of everything in the document. It will be very fast, but I have to go and basically fetch the HTML every time that I just go to another page. Just a thing that I want just to take in account. So this will request again from the server, and the server will have to render again a new HTML. If I do like page 5, it will do the same. this is another request that went to the server. Just as thing, just for you to have in your mind, we will shut down the server. Let's go back to neovim. So now that we have a template, you have seen that I have gone to page 5 and yet I'm showing the same page. And if we go here, it will say like I'm doing a get to the server in the log seat on the area edit. It's requesting the page 5, and it will answer always with this thing. But what happens if you want to respond or have seen the response with a different page? Well, you have to do what we call routing, in which you indicate to the code that you now need the what we call the routing to happen in another address. So I will be more clear. Let's say if you happen to have a different response than this template, and you need it to happen in another totally different way, triggering some other things, right now, you only can respond everything with this HTML template. With routing, we can request a different source or a path and get a different response. But right now, the server won't do that. In order to do that, we have to put what we call a server mux. That is inside the HTML template on Golang. I think that some people will complain because this isn't properly indented. I forgot it. I think that is too much indentation yet, but just to keep things like in indented. So I think that you will also complain that the home template isn't particularly properly indented too, but that's a thing for a future video. The thing here is that we will have what we call a mux. Basically, it's a HTTP. It's inside the HTTP package, and it's called server mux. So what this thing will do is server mux. That is the function one that I require. Yes. Now what this does is just say, okay, we will multiplex things. And now you can, using the mux, basically serves the route that you have, but you also can serve another route. So let's say that I want to call it like, you know what? I will just copy this thing. So let's go visual, $sign, yank it. Let's 3JP. Undo. Go to the another lines. Now this is incorrectly indented, but it doesn't matter that much. This is what I need. So it will be basically the same, but I will change the path of destination. I will just do an about page. And the thing is that in the page, I will do something totally different and maybe silly for some of you. I think that I have to import the format packages just to testing out. I want just to do a different thing. So I will print in the console whatever is in the writer, in the response writer, and I will just bring you are landing to the console from your request item. And another thing that I have to say is to the server start, I say that I will pass it as server mux. I will insert here the mux. And if I did everything well, I should be able now to from the server. And if I go to the Internet Explorer, I was to, oh my God. So everything seems as always, as we left before. So the server is working properly. But if I go now to About page, nothing happens. Nothing in the browser. And if we go here and see what is done, request doesn't respond anything. But if in our console, there is this output, and I will just do it again just for you to see. If I do it, it will say, you requested, you are landing on the console from your requested item. So basically what we did is just to create a new route for our server to serve. That's particularly useful when you want to serve a different thing that isn't on your current server. So I think that I should organize things. I don't want to have three windows. So let's do this. So let's here do visual. And let's do GG. Let's do junk. Let's go to neovim. Let's do P. Let's do the space from the plus register. That will be faster. And let's do W. Let's do QA here. Let's close this. Let's go back to tab. Just to have things organized. So now, tab next. We have learned how to use a template, learn about routing. And there is this thing called HTTP verbs that you can read. We just look for it. HTTP verbs in the Mozilla documentation. But you can read them about in other things. I will link this thing. And they specify how you are supposed to handle things. So if you send a GET request, we'll have to answer with a specific thing on the browser and specific content. But you can do things besides the other things besides GET. You can do POST, you can do PATCH, you can do everything. Right now, we are just doing GETs. But what happens if someone wants to do a POST? The server will have a response for? Right now, we aren't controlling this with these mocks. If someone just do POST, it will respond with the template. And the idea is that you can do this thing called 404 or forbidden or other kind of handles, so you can separate, like the user is requesting with a GET. So yes, I can serve you a thing. But if you are using the incorrect verb, like posting in the about page, trying to fold the information, I should say, I don't know how to handle that. Instead of answering with the HTML template. So for that, we have to do things. Yeah. We can like start getting very technical here in the mocks and saying like the thing that we have to do here, like get HTTP 1.1 and setting the proper response and coding it here and doing everything that for every route that I do, or I just could use a different router rather than the default one. So I could have a more idiomatic way of doing things. You can check the HTTP handle function, and you can see what I'm thinking of. I will link that page if you want to for the thing. But it will be like something, if I'm not doing it, will be like getting this like HTTP 1.1, something like this. And you have to code it for everything that you need to, besides just requesting a resource. So the idea is that we will move now from the default HTML, net HTTP package for handle different routes to a more proper routing that is called chai. So, in order to change the server in chai, we will do here chai, a module, and as you saw, it automatically inserted is a module that we have to get from GitHub, and I will show you how to do that just in a minute. And so we will just do chai. Chi, I don't know how it's pronounced right now. So keeping things the same, what I will do is just create a new variable called R, like from router, chai that a new router. I will create just a new router. Right. And now what I have to do is just to change things up. I will do. I will do R, that is the router, and I will have access to a method called get. Basically, everything else set the same, keeps the same, and I have just to change here both things and say R that get. And right now, just the only thing is that I'm not going to use the mocks, but I'm using the raw. And the HTTP package will accept it because they share the same interface. So, then to execute it, I will first do go mode typing. So it could go to the server and download the package, but I have already pre-downloaded, so you don't have to go to do that. And if we run, and if I didn't did things incorrectly, if I go to the default page, everything should work the same, except that now that the page 2 doesn't exist, I will get a different message. I will say page not found. If I go to about, it will keep doing the same. So if you saw now, we are answering with a proper, more technically correct thing on our server. Like if you didn't find the resource, answer 404. I didn't find the resource. So that's from this side. Let's stop the server with Control and C. Now we have a better way to handle things. And if you have what I say, if you have to do a post, you can handle directly here. Post, put, and a delete with. Those will become handy in the next video. If you want an explanation, maybe on the HTTP verbs and methods, you can leave me a comment down below, but I don't think that you require one. We stopped our server. We will. Let's check the agenda. So we have used the template, learn about routing, improve the routing, and now it's time to use HTMX. What is HTMX? What is HTMX? It's just a JavaScript, a render engine that allows us to have maybe a more rich front end for our wiki, but with the advantage that we don't have to do a full reload every time that we do things. If you saw my example before, I will have to start the server again. And I think that I will have to let's change things. Let's do about here, reroute things to go to about. And let's start the server again. If we come here, if I do go to the about page, As you see, you will see a little flicker here. I could enable even the cache, it doesn't matter. But if I do go to about, even if it didn't get any response here, we got what we call a full reload. So what the HTMX will do is just detect most likely other kind of JS frameworks will just detect the reload of things or the change on the page based on attributes that I put in the HTML code. And it will just update that part and leave everything else as it was. So if you want a fast wiki and avoid things reloading completely, it will be desirable just to update that portion, and it will be faster just to write the update. So that's what we want to achieve with HTMX. Now, how to do things in HTMX. First thing, before even doing HTMX, we will have to learn how to pass parameters to our server. So the idea is that I have about, let's create another route just for why not? I will just do the same thing. 23, 26, junk. Let's paste them here. And I will just create a new page called, I don't know how to call it, content. And let's do just an argument called page. What I will do is just create a parameter. Whatever you pass besides content, I will be able to retrieve it and do things based on that. So what is my idea? Just let's say to the router that the parameter page that I just pass in is basically the chai URL parameter, not forum content, but the thing that I just did. It came from the request and it's called page. But it's a string. It's called page. And what we will do next is just, instead of using the template that we have, just let's, I could write it down in the console, but just to be visible on what we are trying to do, I will do it in the server. So we will just do w.write, write header, right? I will write I will do a string by, the same thing that I do we did last time. So, but we just will print a simple text. Print f, and I will print just basic HTML. H2 title. Welcome to page. Welcome to whatever I passed. So I'm formatting the string. I have to close the HTML tag. H2. And we will just parse the parameter of page. It's the only thing that you will. If I did this correctly, it says that I have an error. Let me check. Here, it says that I have an error. That's what I'm concerned with. One parenthesis here. I have an unbalanced parenthesis. Yeah. I need another parenthesis. Yes. So let's write things down. Let's start the server again. If I go to about, everything behaves the same. But now, if I go to content, page 1, it will say, welcome to page 1. And if I paste like my wiki, it will say welcome to my page. It's printing me not HTML, but some text formatted in that wrong way. I think that is because I have to put a proper header there. Let me just switch. Let's do solve that very quick. I just have to write a header. No, I have to set it. But I will just alter the. No, not to add, just to set. And I will just say that the content type header is what we call text HTML, and we will use a char set. It will be UTF-8. With that, this request should be now good, and it will present itself in a good way. But you saw now whatever I pass here, it gets rendered on the JNOB. Second page. So what is the idea? We have a template now. I don't want to do a full reload every time that I go to a different page. Let's say that I just do things here. Let's do a different thing here. Instead of going into about, let's go to content about. So it will say welcome to about because of silly me doing things that I shouldn't do. But as you can see, all the HTML got replaced. And if I go to network, I go back. And I will disable catch it so you can see. I get whatever the document is. And if I go to about, it will do a flicker and it will receive a totally different payload from the server. So I want to avoid that. So now we have to include HTMX in order to be able to do that. So let's do that. So we have just to switch a little bit the template. And my template is just a little longer, but I have the template just done. So I will delete it and I will explain it. 12, 18, delete. I will grab a template that I wrote and I will paste it. So the idea now is to use this template, right? But you can see now that I need what is called an asset, that is the HTMX JavaScript. We will need to be able to serve the HTMX min.js from the official source. So if you go here to on package HTMX, or I think that is like here, like this. But you now see what I'm trying to do. If we go to onpackage.com, it will have the code for HTMX. The current version is 2.06, but I want the 1.96. So here is the route address. So this is the whole thing in HTMX. How to pre-render, how to post-render. There are plugins for it. What we need is to be able to have this asset served from our server. I have to be able to embed this on the user. So you can use what we call a CDN, a content delivery network, to do that, but I just want to show you how to serve on your own, so I will do it. So the idea is just to the call that also we will go to that page and we will download whatever the server will download on a new I don't have that folder created, so I will have to do a quick folder creation. So I will use Vim for that. So let's create a folder called web. Inside, let's create another directory called static. Let's create another directory called JS. Let's do keep now. So let's do a core very quickly. Core O web static JS HTMX. That means that JS, and we will extract it from the package.com htmx.org at 1.9.6 from the redistributor. I will grab just I will just grab the JS thing. And let's just verify it. Let's just verify that things are the way that yes. Nothing else had happened, but I just downloaded a file using core. You can just go and right click, copy, paste it using the file explorer. Just silly me using overkill things. So now what we have to do is just to indicate to the router that it has to serve whatever we request on the HTMX. So if it's requesting the static that HTMX means JS, it will request to the server to serve the file, and it will have to be delivered by that. So how to indicate that? We will create a new file system for a new HTTP file system, basically. HTTP file server, just the file server. And we will serve a new directory called relative to our current directory. We will serve whatever is in the web that's static. But in this case, we will have to handle whatever is being requested on the static folder. When you request things on the static folder, whatever you request, I will have to change it to use the static asset that you are using and change for the file server that I just used. That's what is happening here. I think that I need another parenthesis. Yeah. What is this thing doing? Basically, what we are telling is the router and the server is, I have a directory or a folder. I need just whatever they ask for the static keyword, you will just have to replace it with the file system that we indicated. So it will just go to the web that is static and will continue doing the research. For example, this static.js will be replaced like with the local folder web static JS, and then we'll grab the file and send it back to the customer, to the client. That's the thing. Here, I think that we are good to go. And if I write this thing again, run the server, if everything went well, I should be able to say welcome to the homepage. So I will go quickly on the template. It will load the HTMX part, And we will have this navigation where we are going to go to the content page, or we are going to send it back whatever we put here in the home. So we are expecting that the home page will be like welcome to the home page, and the about page welcome to about, right? That's the thing that we are saying. So we are now in the home page because if you saw the by default this will get to the home page. But if we do about, and you saw it, it didn't flicker. And if I go here to the network, I just transfer just 140 bytes. And really was just 24 extra bytes. The only thing that it will change, it will be changing, will be the new text. So this avoids, if let's say I have a image here, to reload all the image just again. So now we have used HTMX to do things. That's why the initiator of this action is the HTMX thing. So now we have a server that properly serves HTMX. Why you have to be happy? Let's go here quickly to Wikipedia. Let's do F12. If you see it's loading some articles. And when I start, it starts to fetch things like where it has to go. But let's say that I just go to the Julia Hagen thing. It will flicker and will reload the whole thing. And if you disable caching, and I've used what I usually do, be like in a cellular network, and I do this, we can keep waiting. And it has to reload. It's not that visible because it does very fast, but you can see what it's doing. If I click then on another thing, it will redo everything. And if I go to here again, it will have to reload everything again, and it will take time. But if I go to the server and I do the same thing, of course, my server doesn't have a lot of bytes, but if I go to about and home, it will be faster. Why? Even if I disable cache, because it takes what it takes to load just the home page. But if I go click about, it will just change that portion. That's why HTMX, I just prefer it. Imagine that this is a very full page. It's what we call just a single page application, but in a different way. But well, I won't extend anything besides this. Let's go to the next. I have written it up, so we saw how to serve. We saw the basics of HTML serving again. How to use a Go template in order to help us managing some parts that we will see beside in the future videos. I mean, we learn about how to the default routing works in Golang, how to use the cheat router to improve our routing, and finally a little bit of HTMX and how it works on the backend. So that makes it for today's video. If you like the content, please leave a like. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. And see you in the next one. Bye-bye. And happy learning.